Mr. Mike.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming, my man.
Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good, man. Good. I wanted to have you on here because this podcast is dedicated to entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives, artists, musicians, and you're doing something pretty big here in Charlotte. So I wanted you to introduce yourself to the people that don't know who you are.
Okay.
Introduce yourself and what you do here in Charlotte.
My name is Mike, and Michael Izzard, and I own the Audiobox studio, me and my partner, and we've got the #1 studio in North Carolina, South Carolina, and we've been #1 for the last 16 years, and nothing's going to change. So.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And what makes it so? Just list some of the artists that have come out of that studio.
T.I., Ty Dolla $igns, YG, the Baby, Little Baby, Quavo, Sweetie, Dolph.
Yeah, the list goes on and on.
Gucci Man. I mean, you know.
Oh, Gucci Man was there too, huh?
Twice, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And you work with Miss Fantasia as well.
Yeah. I've been working for her for about 14 years now.
So, how did that all start?
With Fantasia, she was doing The Color Purple, and she wanted a studio built. So my engineer that I had at the time, she was in Miami. She called me up and said that Fantasia wanted you to come out her house so you can build a studio. And I went over there and been pretty much working for her ever since.
How did the studio come about? Because I came across a post that I just saw today,
mm-hmm.
and it said that you were cheated out of something.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
It's been a while. Basically, what happened was I was a DJ, and everybody kept telling me, you need to do a record, you need to do a song.
Mm-hmm.
So I made some sense out of it. Talked my brother out of his $1,000, and we brought a drum machine, and 3 months later we sent the demo to New York, and we got 2 recording deals, one with Polygram here in the United States, and the other one in London with Criminal Records. And we went up to Manhattan and did an album, and for the most part, once we got back down south, basically they got all their studio musicians to do pretty much the album over, and the rapper pretty much went along with it, and that was kind of, an eye-opening experience for me. So
How long ago was that?
Been right at about 20 years ago.
20 years?
Yeah.
20 years?
Yeah.
That's how long you've been doing this?
Yeah, if not longer, yeah.
Talk to me about, for those that don't understand,
mm-hmm.
the amount of time and sacrifice it takes to have a dream and make sure you have those goals to reach that dream. What was the work ethic like? What were the work ethic, and what kind of sacrifices came? 20 years, that's a long time to dedicate to something.
Yeah, what happened was once we got cheated out of the money, I realized that I knew what I was doing when it came to the music, because I was working with a lot of, major producers and things like that. But when it came down to putting projects in somebody else's hand, it just never panned out the way it did whenever I would send it to a label or something. So I just decided that, you know what, let me get a first shift job where I can actually learn how to build a studio, and at nighttime I can work on the music. The working on the music never came up because I was working all the time. By the time I got off, I was too tired to work on the music, but I learned how to build, a studio from the ground up. I did 5 years of concrete, which meant that for 5 years I was outside in the weather, whether it was snowing, rain, or whatever.
Working with your hands.
Yes, and learned how to do everything from laying bricks to, fine carpentry and all that, and turned that into a business as well. So I built a lot of high-end fireplaces and a lot of accent walls and things like that.
You still doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So talk to me about what's been your mentality like about that? Because you obviously have to be a very disciplined individual to do that. So what's that like?
Just to know that in order to be in the music business, it's more than one avenue to be in the music business. My thought was, you know what, since I got cheated doing music, let me go ahead and come in music a different way. So I use a different avenue to come into the music business, and I still meet all the artists, and
It's about networking.
it's about networking. I mean, I've got pictures with everybody from Nicki Minaj to Kim Kardashian, 50 Cent, and everybody else.
That's
And my conversation is a little bit different because I can approach them, or when the conversation come up, it's more than about music, So
That's incredible.
Mhm.
That's incredible. I've been reading this book called The Third Door. You ever heard of it?
never heard of it.
So it's basically, I'll just simplify it. It talks about, it gives the example of how you were to get into a club, for example.
Mhm.
So there's 3 ways of getting into the club. Do you know the 3 ways?
I used to come in through the back door,
There you go.
but now most clubs I can just walk in because I've done something in the club.
So-
Even this building here, I've done work in here. I've ran wire in here and everything else. So even in this place, I've done a lot of work.
Well, it goes to talk about the average general population.
Mhm.
They'll go in through the front,
Yeah.
general admission.
Mhm.
You got the people that buy their way in, that's VIP.
Mhm.
And then you have those individuals, those very few individuals that go through the back door because they know somebody. And it talks about, not only having a strong work ethic,
Mhm.
but also talks about how strong networking is,
Exactly.
how knowing the right people
Mhm.
to get, and that's in any industry.
Yeah.
So to piggyback off of what you just said,
Yeah.
do you think that is a strong statement with the music industry?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about networking. Definitely.
And who have you? Do you maybe pay homage to certain people that have maybe given you the opportunities that you have now?
I mean, it's a lot of different people because I do favors for a lot of people, and then I just believe that favors are more important than money.
Say that again.
Favors are more important than money.
Why is that?
Because, I mean, most people with money, people never do anything free for them. They always have to pay for everything. But my take on this, if I do this favor for this guy, he's always going to remember that I always looked out for him. And I work for millionaires all the time, and sometimes I might do something free for them, and they're caught off guard because I said, they said, what do I owe you? I said, no, you don't owe me nothing. He's not serious what I owe you. I said, you don't owe me nothing. And it catch them by surprise. And I said, when was the last time somebody did something free for you? And they kind of just stand there, dumbfounded because they can't remember when somebody done something free for them. So to me, it's not about the money, it's about the connections.
It's about building relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a favorite artist of yours that you've enjoyed or had memories with throughout your career that you have built maybe a friendship with more than just a business relationship with?
Probably Rocco. Rocco's, somebody that I did his entire house down in Atlanta.
Oh, dope.
And pretty much did everything over for him. He just had bought the house, and I was overseas, and he called me up and said, hey, I done brought a new house. Can you come here and work on it for me? So as soon as I got there, I said, when do you want to get started? He said, now. So I went to Walmart and stayed down there like 3 months. And
Wow.
got it finished. Yeah.
Wow. So you got the studio, and I guess you can call it somewhat of a construction business, no?
Yeah.
Do you have what's the passion? What's your passion? Is it the studio stuff, or do you find
No, just to do stuff that is different than everybody else. I mean, even when I was working in construction, I never wanted to do framing because I know I could pay anybody to frame. But when it comes to the fine details and things like that, that was one of the reasons I got into construction, because the bells and whistles is what costs you. So I said, you know what, I can never beat people framing, but I can beat them.
You just spoke like a true artist, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to be part of the regular shit. Yeah. I like that.
Anybody can do regular, but and in a way that's why I got into photography, because the things that I was doing was so different that I wanted to take pictures and show my work. So that's why I ended up getting pretty good bit of cameras and things like that so that I could shoot my work, and that kind of turned into a passion of mine, and I'm still buying cameras to this day.
Yeah. I find that you gotta have a balance. You know what I'm saying? Like you have the stuff that makes you money.
Yeah.
But then you have the other stuff that kind of balances out the creativity, the there's things that money isn't going to replace.
Exactly.
I tell people all the time, my creative work doesn't really pay that much. It's the commercial work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff, it pays my bills.
Yes.
But the creative work, that fulfills something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do you have going on now with Audiobox? Do y'all have any plans of expansion or?
Yeah, we have a building in Atlanta that we've gotten, and we're in the process of building another studio down there.
Atlanta.
So, yeah.
Dope. When is that gonna happen?
Sometime this summer. I mean, it's still going through planning and licenses and all that, so electrical plans and stuff. So as soon as all that get done, we'll be up and running.
Yeah. So, talk to me about what it's like to run a studio business, because I had my first experience in the studio a few months back with a client, and I didn't realize how much. I mean, it's kind of like editing a video. I didn't realize how much goes into one song.
Yeah.
It's hours and hours just into one song.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? Do you have people that help you out with it? Are you in the studio all the time?
No, my business partner, AJ, he pretty much run the studio. He's real passionate about, hands-on, and me. I'm just like, unless I'm working on my personal project, I really don't spend time in them because I spend my days building and designing stuff every day, 7 days a week. I'm doing something, and that's kind of what my passion is. But Audiobox is a great business, and AJ does a great job at running it. And but I'm always proud to see the accomplishments that we do as far as getting different companies to bag us and believe in the brand, and it's a good fit for both of us.
Yeah. What kind of challenges do you come across?
Just
in general,
just personnel. I mean, we're working in a business that everybody wants to be you. Everybody wants to have their own studio. Everybody want to have their own client list, and we're living in a world that that's easy to do to a point, but you always have some type of opposition in them. And somebody always want to, do their thing.
There's always going to be like oversaturation.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be the cream of the crop. Yeah. On that oversaturation. That's why I try to tell people all the time, man, that because I mentor a few people that actually want to take photography and filmmaking as a professional career. Yeah. And one of the main things they tell me is like, yo, it's so oversaturated. Like, like how you going? How am I going to make a living off of this? And I just, I tell them, you and I can do the same project, but it's not going to be done the same way.
Exactly.
And you have to go out and create your own thing and monetize that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Being afraid of the oversaturation, in any industry right now, it's music, restaurants. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, just like when I was coming up, everybody wanted to be a web designer. Now that's just,
I remember
that doesn't even pay anything. Anybody can design a web. So, in the same way with photography or music, it'll get to a point that, anybody can do music at their home. But I think for us, it's more of the experience and ambience that, God has allowed me to create in there that really set us apart. And I definitely have to give, God thanks for that, because when I got in there, I didn't know what it was going to look like, but the end product was more than I had hoped for, and it makes sense now.
Yeah. What did you grow up here in Charlotte?
No, South Carolina.
South Carolina, what part?
Kershaw.
Oh,
yep.
Country man.
Yes, yes, indeed.
That's awesome. You have family in the Carolinas still?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you you busy? You a busy man. So how do you find time to have time for the family and the friends? And
I don't.
He's honest too.
Yeah. Now my mom stays about an hour and 10 minutes from here. I probably see her every 3 or 4 months, but not that I'm proud of it. But she understands. So,
no, I feel that. Yeah. The people that are close to me, they understand.
Yeah, I mean, when you get in the entertainment business, a lot of time your time is not your own. I mean, I've been with artists that let's do this, let's do that, and we be going out the door or something, and the next thing they got a phone call, and they got a conference call, or they got a podcast to do over the telephone and things like that. So
isn't that strange?
yeah, it is. Yeah,
and isn't it amazing? In my experience,
mm-hmm.
I lost quite a bit of friends
Yeah.
because of that, of them not understanding how much work it actually it takes. Mm-hmm. 7 days a week.
Yeah.
16-hour days.
Yeah. But I think when you're doing what you love to do, time goes by so quick, because when I'm working and I'm building something, I don't think about nothing. I mean, my mind is at peace and at rest, and to me, it's not really work. Even in the studio, I don't get to spend much time in it, but there's still a lot of things I'm going to build and things like that in the studio. But when I'm at work, that's when I'm at peace, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah. Amen to that. Any other future endeavors that you are planning, or anything that you're wanting to do?
Yeah, some things coming up, but I can't speak on it yet.
Damn, secret man.
I was just in Atlanta and got some real good news on another situation, and
I can tell by that smile on your face, it's real good news. Huh?
It's just a matter of me saying yes, because it's a done deal already. But
that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I really your story intrigues me, man, because you carry yourself very humbling, but you've accomplished a lot,
mm-hmm.
and you have a lot of successes around you, and businesses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, a lot of people don't. I feel like entrepreneurship
mm-hmm.
is very glorified, but a lot of people don't also understand all the sacrifices and all the hard work it actually really is, man.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to have you on here because I have a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
I have people our age as well, but I have a lot of younger people that follow me. I have a lot of younger people that I mentor, and they just, some of them just don't understand that working for yourself or working towards something, it's a grind.
It is. Uh-huh.
It's a grind.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that you're away from your family so much. I pretty much watch my kids grow up on the iPhone, because as far as graduation, first day of school and things like that, it was always over the telephone. And looking back on that, it was like, that wasn't the way I wanted to live my life.
Mm.
But no kidding, whenever there was something special going on at school or something, or a birthday or something, most of the time I saw it on the iPhone.
Mm.
And most of the time, not even the same time, but a day later or something like that. So
Damn.
that wasn't something that, I wanted in life, but it was necessary to do what I had to do, and they understood. So,
I mean, these are things that people just don't see.
No.
People just see, people just see what's on the gram.
Yeah.
People see, they see the highlights. I call social media the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
The highlights that, you people just put up on there what they want you to see.
Everybody think it's instant gratification, but I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. I mean, I still work 7 days a week, and it's just so many things I want to do, and so many things I want to accomplish, and I'm doing a great job at, making those dreams come true, but it comes with sacrifices, and it comes with a huge dollar amount. I mean, not only do, you might make money, but I'm spending a lot of money.
That money got to go back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think I'm irresponsible, but at the same time, I'm living the life that I dreamed of. And,
it feels that way because you come from such like a humbling beginning, right?
Yeah, I think that basically coming from where I came from, I mean, there was nobody to look up to.
Mm.
And once I left South Carolina, I mean, I realized I could be anything I wanted to be, and nothing was holding me back. So it wasn't no problem for me to be the first one on the job, the last one to leave, working on the weekends, to a point that the company owners said, you know what, since you're always the first one here, here's the company truck keys and here's the credit cards. Anything they want, you take care of it, because I know you're going to be here first thing and last thing. And I basically started out, digging ditches, and now I stay in the condo that I laid the foundation for.
Nice.
And
Damn.
And that was my plan. I mean, even when I was digging the foundation, I said one day I'm going to stay here. So
Damn.
I'm looking out the window that I looked up to,
Damn.
and I look at the stadium or the whole Charlotte uptown every time I go home, and it's an accomplishment. I mean, a lot of things are just goals that I set when I'm doing it, and it's not just pouring concrete just to pour it. If I learn how to pour concrete, I don't have to pay nobody to do it. So anything that comes to construction, I know how to do it, and I know how it's supposed to be done. I know how long it's supposed to take and how much it's supposed to cost. So it saves me probably like 80% of construction costs, because
Wow.
I know how to do most of it myself, and I know how much it's supposed to cost, and I know the subcontractor. So
Cut the middleman out.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what's up. It's my buddy told me the other day. He's a really good friend of mine. He moved to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him. His name is Yusuf.
Okay.
Really good man. He told me the other day. He's like, Sam. He's like, have you stopped to just look at where you're at now?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, when I met you, you were sleeping in my guest room on the floor, driving a 1993 Oldsmobile
Mm-hmm.
that was shot to shit. He's like, you remember that?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. He's like, you remember all them ramen noodles you used to eat every night? I'm like, yeah.
And it was all good.
It was there was some hot sauce on it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that same day, I live in University area. I went to it's got this little man-made boardwalk lake or whatever, but I get up pretty early, so I went like at 6 something in the morning when nobody really there, and just not really nice views, but I just being right next to the water, and started thinking like yeah, sometimes you have to just sit and be thankful for everything. Granted, it's a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I have to realize how blessed I am compared to other people.
Yeah.
Especially people that don't live in countries like ours where they have the opportunities that we have.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, when he told me that, now I make it a habit, a weekly habit where I sit back and I call count my blessings.
Yeah.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Exactly.
Keeps you grounded, keeps you focused on
Yeah.
on where you're going and where you came from.
Yeah. And I think you have to realize that if it was easy, everybody would do it. And the main reason that most people quit because they can't handle the ideal of not knowing where it's going to come from or how they're going to pay for it and all that. But I think you have to be, your faith has to be to a point that you know it's going to happen. To me, if I pray for it, either it's going to happen or God will let me know why it didn't happen. And I'm satisfied with both answers because it's humbling whenever you have that type of faith that you know that one way or another it's going to happen.
But most of the time it happens
Yeah.
because when you speak it,
But if it don't, he'll let you know why.
yeah.
And that's what keeps me humble, just knowing that it could all be gone at any minute. So I live my life to the fullest, I feel, and I don't get tired of working. I don't get tired of, of trying to be successful, because the whole thing of it is that coming from where I come from, that by itself is a success story.
Preach. Talk to me about, switching subjects here, talk to me what it was like. Did you work alongside like people like the Baby and Fantasia when they came in the studio?
Yeah.
What's it like to work with artists like that, like to their caliber? Were they as big as they are now when they first started or in there, or how was that like?
No, I think that with the Baby, I think that it wasn't nothing that I did, but he spent years at the studio working and things like that. But it was just, he knew that he was going to be successful. I mean, just like you and I knew that we were going to be able to do what we wanted to do, and he was willing to go the extra mile, because some people can't take going what it takes to do. I mean, working to a point that you're the last one there, you're the first one to get there, and you're paying the bills. I mean, we pay the price to do what we do, but for him to see him where he's at now, I mean, when I look at him and I'm seeing footage of a whole sea of people and everybody's chanting his name, I mean, that's God. I mean, that's God's work, to be able to stand up there and everybody know your name, or to be with Fantasia or somebody backstage or wherever, and just see her perform, you know, just different people like that. I mean, you know, and see people in your own studio win platinum plaques and whatever, and to help other people get deals and things like that. I mean, it's a good place to be in because you're in the middle of the storm and you're seeing a lot of different things. And I'm proud of, you know, everybody that works at Audiobox, because without them, I wouldn't be here now. But
being around people like that also puts a fire under your butt too as well. Like it encourages you to move even further, because I imagine, I mean, seeing how much they move, I imagine they're very hard workers.
Yeah.
So I imagine that just rubs off you.
Yeah. I meant to see, you know, people who lives have been changed and it'll never be the same. I mean, you know, to see what they have to go through, the sacrifice and things like that. I mean, you know, it's something to see. But through all walks of life, everybody that I've been around, just to watch them in real life, whether it be at their home or on stage or something. I remember whenever, you know, the baby used to come to the studio when we would give him free time or something like that, because we knew that he was a hard worker. I mean, he spent so much money there with us. We kind of looked at it like, this guy's going to make it. You know?
And he did.
Yeah. But to a point that it was just like, it was unbelievable, you know. One day you see him at, you know, probably 200, 300 likes on Instagram, and then you see him go 1 million and, you know, so forth. So now every time he posts something, you know, 178,000 within the first 10 minutes, and you're just like, whoa.
He was the first, so I'm from up north. He was the first artist to come out from the South where his music, I could resonate to his music.
Exactly.
Because his music, it bleeds into your ears on how hard he works and how proud he is of his work ethic. And I appreciate that, because I mean, you know, I'm not in that industry, but I could feel his hustle through his music, and it ignited my hustle with what I do.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I think that this is just the beginning for him. I mean, just looking at how he acts in his videos, I mean, you know that, you know.
He was making his own videos for a while, right?
Yeah.
He got behind the camera.
Yeah. But the thing of it is, his next, I think his next venture is going to be into movies and things like that, because just looking at him, his character and things like that,
I can see it.
in his, so I think his biggest career is yet to come.
Oh, shit.
I think that, you know, he made some mistakes, you know, like anybody would, because you go from nothing to, you know, one of the biggest artists in the world, you're going to make some mistakes. But, you know, like anybody, if given a chance, they'll do better the next time. And I think that the film is his final frontier. And I think he's going to be better known for that than the music, because he has it in him.
Yeah, I was following him for a while on social media, and he was getting behind the camera and editing and cutting up the footage and all that stuff, and I'm like, that's what's up, man.
That's pretty much what he do now. I mean, he pretty much direct his own videos and pick out, you know, everybody who's going to be in the wardrobe and all that. He's hands-on with everything now, so I think that, you know, he's learning a lot, and film is going to be his biggest
that's what's up.
His biggest career.
That's what's up. What kind of advice do you give to young or up-and-coming artists, or maybe or just musicians in general that want to pursue a career in the industry? Because I know it's hard. I know it's one of the hardest industries to break through. But if you could give a piece of advice to any of those individuals, because I know a few of those people. Yeah. And they live and breathe it. Yeah. And they believe in it. Yeah. What would you say to someone like that?
Pray and believe in who you're praying to and how big he is, because that's what I had to realize. In the beginning, you know, I would let anybody try to invest in my studio because, you know, they had a big car, looked like they had money or something like that. And by going that route, you know, I just went, you know, in a lot of wrong directions that it really took me longer to be successful by, you know, letting people come in on a partnership or something like that with the studio, and then realizing that it wasn't going to work. I have to pay them their money back and go through that 2 or 3 times, and then to realize, you know what, I've asked everybody but God for this. And once I asked God for it, it took off like a rocket, and I've never looked back because I just feel that I went through everything I went through because they wasn't supposed to be a part of the studio, and it was always supposed to have been me asking God. And once I put it in His hands, I mean, even now I look at the studio and look how symmetrical some of the things I've done in the studio look, and just
those are probably some of the biggest life lessons you learned.
Yeah.
The hard shit.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that makes you.
Yeah, but it was necessary for me to go through all that just to find my bearings. And once I realized which way was up, just like my life will never be the same again in heaven. I mean, I'm living the life that I knew I wanted, and going places that I wanted to go to, and to me, that's what the payoff is, to be able to see things that you see on TV and things like that. You see a place on TV and say, I'm going to go there. And you end up going there. And Vegas is one of my favorite spots. I mean, when I go to Vegas,
been, man.
Oh, man. It's not for everybody. A lot of places you may go to may not be for everybody, but Vegas is one of my favorite spots because, it's just shiny, pretty.
Yeah. I just started traveling about 3 years ago.
Okay. About the same for me because I worked all the time.
Yeah.
Then I realized, you know what?
Well, I never had the money for it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my boy Yusuf, the way I met him was him and his business partner at the time hired me for a marketing shoot for their sunglasses company.
Okay.
And they flew me out to Los Angeles. And just to give you a perspective, I had moved to Charlotte in 2003 and never left. And my first time out of the city was Los Angeles in 2019.
Yeah.
Or 18. So going from being in Charlotte for over 10 years to LA.
Yeah.
Whew,
yeah.
That was a eye-opener for me.
Oh, yeah.
So then it was LA, New York, DC. I go to Miami all the time now.
Yeah.
I have clients in Miami. Almost moved there.
Yeah.
But there's still so much I want to see.
Exactly.
Vegas is one. I want to go to Texas.
Yeah. I think the first time I went to Vegas, I think that year I went like 7 times.
Oh,
I was that impressed. It's not for everybody. Me, I'm from the country, so
yeah,
I go out in the desert and just go everywhere.
I see. That's what appeals to me is the desert. I want to go look at the desert, photograph the desert, do a shoot out there or something.
Yeah. I'll fly into LA just so I could drive through the desert to get to Vegas, and then I go to Phoenix and places like that, and
Yeah, that's one of my dreams, man. Is to shoot like a video out, the music video, or do like a nice high fashion shoot out in the desert.
We got to do that. Then.
Yeah.
I have a new artist that,
Death Valley.
Yeah.
Go out to Death Valley and just shoot.
Haven't been there yet, but.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So we're
set
shooting in Death Valley.
We're going to set it up.
Yeah.
A couple things I want to ask you before we close out. You had mentioned family.
Yeah.
Is your mother and your father in the picture?
My mother is my father. He's deceased, but
I'm sorry.
But I learned a lot from him. Though. That's why all my building skills, I guess, I got that from because he was always working on something, and I had to be there. If I wasn't there, he was gonna come get me. And he was gonna make sure I learned how to do this and learned how to do that. And
so you had a good relationship with him.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Good. So. What does your mom say now? Is she like proud of you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What does she say?
No, she said, when I meet people and they tell me about how good you're doing and stuff, it makes me feel good to know that.
Damn. Ain't that a good damn feeling?
Oh yeah, it is. And that's one thing I ever wanted. I never wanted to do anything to make my mom or dad, have to come get me out of jail or nothing. And I think that's one of the things that kept me grounded too. I've never been to jail or anything like that because I just never wanted to do anything to. Make them worry about me. But my dad, he built my first studio.
Oh, snap.
And so both of them was kind of, involved with my career. So he built my first studio and they helped me buy equipment and things like that. And so I couldn't let them down. So that was the main thing was to be able to make them proud of them.
You know what's funny is my father wasn't in the picture much, but towards the end of his life, may he rest in peace, he most certainly tried to be there.
Great.
And what even though my relationship with my parents wasn't exactly close, that was still one of the main factors of my drive.
Yeah.
I wanted them to be proud of me, no matter what it was. And you know, and they are.
Yeah.
They are. And that's a damn good feeling, man.
It is.
It's a damn good feeling. So to close out, I like to ask all of my guests, you know, this podcast is solely about the mental health side of things, like with entrepreneurship and whatever the case. So if you had one piece of advice to any individual that wanted to follow their dreams and pursue their goals, and I know there's a bunch of things you could say, what's one main thing you would tell them?
Don't go out the cheap way. Spend as much as you got on it.
Invest
in it, yeah.
Invest.
Yeah. I never shied away from expensive equipment or anything like that. I never really had nothing growing up, so everything I get, I want it to be the best. And there's no substitute, because I used to be in the car audio, and I used to buy, you know, just the cheap stuff just to get by, and I realized if I just go ahead and wait and pay a little bit more, I can go ahead and get the good stuff. So now I never go the cheap route. I always want the best, and it'll save you a lot of money, and you'll pat yourself on the back.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah. I would never want to look at somebody else and say, I wish I had this and I wish I had that. It encouraged me to go ahead and work for it and get it. So that's my advice, and just believe in God. I mean, I can't say that enough, because I went from nothing to the #1 studio in the Carolinas.
Hey.
And I can say that and won't nobody say nothing.
Yeah, that's what's up. I agree with that. Since day one, since I left my 9 to 5, I had a 9 to 5 with one of the healthcare systems out here. Worked in a cubicle, no windows. Yeah. Miserable with data entry. Yeah. I looked for excuses to call out. Yeah. And when I started my photography career, when I quit, I didn't have no money. Yeah. I had a 401k. And I took the money out of that 401k. Yeah. And I bought my very first professional camera, and that's all she wrote. Yeah. And that camera, I paid for that camera within a month or two. Yeah. Yeah. And now, you know, every time I have to buy an expensive piece of gear, just a few months ago I bought a $4,000 video camera. Yeah. Just the other day I went and bought a $3,000 photography camera. Yeah. You know, the stuff adds up, but what I noticed,
the quality of your work is just
yeah,
and that's what made me want to do this interview. I saw some of your work on Instagram, and I'm just like, this is what I've been looking for.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
I run across people every day in the studio. Let me shoot this, and when it comes to your brand, I think that you can't take a shortcut. For me, I have to design my own T-shirts. I have to design my own logos, all of this, that. I don't let nobody do that. And then when it comes to videos, I don't let nobody shoot unless they got the same vision I have. And when I saw your portfolio, I was just like, this is the guy I've been looking for.
Oh, man, that means a lot.
And that's why I couldn't wait to do this video, because coming in and seeing your equipment and stuff, I was just like,
no shortcuts.
That's the right guy.
Yeah, no shortcuts. I really appreciate that.
But no, that's really why I wanted to do the video, because I said, maybe if I do this podcast, I can get him to do a reel from my studio, because no kidding, the color, the way you cut and edit your videos, and the after effects and stuff.
Thank you, man.
This the guy I need. So that's why I'm glad to be here, because I see that you've got the right equipment, and even watching your podcast, just how you interview people, you're natural with it. You're not trying to be somebody that you're not. And that's what I see with everybody on Instagram. They're trying to act like a character or something. I'm just like,
be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself.
And thank you for all those compliments. I really appreciate that.
No, I pay attention, and like I said, you know, everything is A+.
Thank you.
You're A1, because like I said, there's so many people out there with cameras. I mean, you'll be surprised. They don't last long.
Everybody got a camera now.
But you got to be hungry for it, and you got
Yeah.
to get the good stuff and know that you're one step closer to your dream. And I think you've done all your homework, and now it's paying off.
Thank you. And you said something about being yourself. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid. I believe it or not, I'm very introverted. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't go out. I don't really talk to people unless
Yeah.
they're in like my inner circle or my clients.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed that being myself,
Yeah.
when I was actually able to open up more,
Yeah.
you know, it was the easiest marketing I could do.
Yeah. Because you don't have to be fake.
No.
You can be yourself, and I appreciate that from somebody, because even when I started DJing, I was one of the biggest DJs in South Carolina, but as long as the lights was dim, I was the biggest thing in the room. You turn the light on, Mike.
Well, they gonna like you or not.
Yeah, but I
You
did
know?
it, and I refused to drink or smoke, because I said, you know what? I know I'm shy, but as long as the lights are off, I can burn this house down. But you let the lights come on, yeah, you can go ahead and have the mic. I'm going to the bathroom, you know.
Hey, I would have worked with you if you would have done the podcast or not. Just stating the facts. But yeah, man, I really, really greatly appreciate you coming on and sharing.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
Sharing your stories, your experiences, your knowledge, your wisdom. A lot can be taken out of what you said, and I feel like I'm living everything that you just preached to me.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tell people where they can find you.
On Instagram, Audiobox Studios, just one word.
Cool.
Audiobox Studios.
Cool, man. And I want to give a shout out to Bokao Sushi for hosting the podcast. Thank you guys so much. Have you been here before?
Yes, beautiful restaurant.
Cool.
Yeah, always packed, so you gotta
Yeah,
make
it's lit.
reservations.
It's lit.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad to be here and to see Victor and everybody. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody who listened. And we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.